what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of To Make Concern. We are back again with another episode. As you can tell by looking at Steven's screen right now, he has something else behind him rather than just the logo. That right there, Steven's corner right there.
This is my corner, and as you can see, the way the camera's pointed, you can actually see the corner in the wall there, so it literally is a corner.
Literally a corner.
Literally.
Isn't that crazy how that worked out?
That was not intentional or planned, by the way. It just happened to work out like that.
Yeah, it just all happened to work out.
Isn't it crazy how things like that happen?
Insane. Absolute insanity right there. So before we get too far into this, I just want to let y'all know that as I hold the title as the most indecisive person ever, for a little bit of time, we've made it to where it's like every 2 weeks, but I think what I want to do now is make this a weekly thing.
He's going back on what he said, because remember the original reason why we went to 2 weeks was because Will was basically saying, like, you know, we're running dry on content too fast, we're burning ourselves out, we're making uninteresting episodes because we're not coming up with enough to talk with. So he's like, okay, let's go to a bi-weekly schedule so that way we'll have more time to come up with topics. And then earlier
let me tell you what happened.
And then we did that for one episode, and then earlier today Will was like, so, you know, I kind of want to go back to doing this weekly now.
Here's what happened. I've actually created a structure for what topics we talk about. So now I feel like I'm confident enough to come up with topics that'll stretch out for hour-long episodes. So, and also because I just miss doing this every week. I just miss having this be a weekly thing. So here's my little thing on that. If we come across a week where it's a slow week and we have nothing to talk about, then we're going to announce that we have another episode for that week. And we'll come back the next week. But if we have enough content for the week, then we'll come out with an episode. That's kind of
that's the plan, at least.
That's kind of my schedule strategy. It's going to be every Friday with exceptions. Yeah.
So expect an announcement somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We'll let y'all
Will does
know.
all of the producing for this show, so
we'll let you know ahead of time. You, as in the audience, whenever we're not able to give you new content.
All one of you.
All right.
Before we get started on the real meat of the episode, I would like to point out that the facility in which I am recording my end of the podcast is brought to you by HyperX, the official peripheral provider of the Auburn University Game Room. With that out of the way, let's get started.
I would also like to point out that he finally figured out what lights are, and he decided to turn his lights on.
Listen, I didn't see the light switch in here the last time, okay? And I also thought it wasn't gonna matter, because there was like 3 lights. By the way, I still have 3 lights, but actually only one of them is on, and it's the ring light around the camera, and the only reason it's on is because I couldn't figure out how to turn it off. So yeah, I turned the lights on in here thinking it would be better lighting and it would stop like the screen behind me from overpowering the camera and making my face look like a shadow. It seems to have worked a little bit. Not that you guys want to see my face or anything, but you know.
Yeah, has it ever occurred to you that maybe your face is under shadow because you don't have your lights in front of you on?
I mean,
has it ever occurred to you?
I'm talking about last time. I had the ones in front of me on last time, but the like surrounding room lights off. And what happened was the screen, but that was behind me was producing a lot of light, and it was causing the camera exposure to go down. And because the camera exposure was down, it wasn't like it wasn't getting a lot of light from my face, which was causing it to appear dark. If you've ever pointed a camera at a screen or any other light source, you'll notice that the camera lowers its exposure to match the bright light source, and everything around it that's not producing light will go dark.
It's called color balance, and you learn it in film school.
I didn't even go to film school, and I know that.
Yeah. But we learn about it in detail and how it works.
Anyway.
Okay, so. All right. So to start off, am I hearing talking, by the way?
There may be some talking in the background. I can vaguely hear people outside, but I also have headphones on, so the microphone might be picking it up better than I can.
Okay.
Just try to ignore it.
Sorry, I was on a train of thought, and then I heard it, and I was distracted. But basically, okay, so so over last week or the week before, because like I said, filming 2 weeks apart, I experienced for the very first time being on a plane. And as Steven is the pilot, or is a future pilot.
Yeah, I am the pilot, the only one that exists in the world. I am the only person on this planet that is able to fly airplanes. If you're the only pilot, wait, hold on.
If you're the only pilot, then who was flying my plane 2 weeks ago?
That's a great question.
Oh no.
What do you think,
no.
Will? Don't you think that there might have been a reason why I didn't happen to contact you on that particular day? Did you ever think about that?
Just having existential crisis, just like existential dread, just like
I'm everywhere.
Oh wow.
I'm inside your walls.
Ah, no. Just pulls out a gun, starts shooting my walls.
Joke's on you. This was just a tactic to get you to shoot up your dorm room and have to pay thousands of dollars in repairs. That I don't even get. Like, I don't get any of that money.
Next week, we're going to be filming with me in a jail cell.
Yeah. Will was sentenced to 5 years in prison for property damage.
And for misuse of a firearm, and possible life for maybe shooting a roommate if I ever.
That's true. That could be considered endangerment of life.
Yeah, if I just started shooting my walls, I think the person next to me is not gonna have a fun time with that. Unless, of course, he's somewhere else. But what if the bullet travels through multiple walls?
I mean,
I could also hit the roof.
It is just sheetrock. It's not exactly designed to stop a bullet.
Yeah, and there's also people in front, like on top of me.
On top of
my
you?
room.
Hold on, wait, hold on. There's people on top of you. What is that supposed to mean? Please implore me.
It was a misuse of formatting words, okay?
Are you telling me, Will? I wanna make this clear, chat. Will is publicly admitting to
Chat.
Yes, I'm doing it again.
Chat.
I'm doing it again. I did it in a
What
previous
chat are you
episode. I'm
talking
doing
about?
it again. Will is publicly admitting.
He's been watching too many Twitch streamers.
Will is publicly admitting to being a bottom.
That isn't what the government wants you to think. And also, in that scenario, I would have to be, because if it was the other way around, I think I'd kill someone being on top.
Yeah, that's fair. That is
So that's
entirely
something you
fair.
have to think about.
I just want to
Anyway.
point out something really quick. So the way that I'm sitting in this room, I'm facing a window, right? That looks out into the hallway. And two very particular people just walked past this window. One of them was one of my roommates, and the other one was someone that I know from my history class. So yeah, that was the thing that
Hey
happened.
guys,
They can't
we're
see
in
you.
a podcast. You want to be in it?
So yeah, I'm probably gonna hear about
That must
when I
be
get
so
home.
awkward. That must be so awkward, just having to like look out a window and having people watch
Yeah.
you
Well, usually
take part in this podcast.
the screen blocks most of it, and I didn't really acknowledge them, but he like put his face up to the window and like waved, like yeah.
That's funny. Anyways, we're talking about planes here. I don't know how we got to talk about me being a bottom.
Because you said that there were people
Again,
on top of you.
First episode, what's up to terrorism? It's same philosophy.
And it's gonna be from this point onward that in every single episode, Will is going to call back to the first episode and completely demolish my chances of ever getting a job at the airlines.
So yeah, let me go ahead and put this disclaimer. Any references, past, present, and future, to terrorism, it's all completely for the sake of jokes and for the sake of comedy, and I'm in no way implying that Steven would take part in any of that. He is a very good pilot, and he will be very good at flying people.
You
So
heard
with that
it.
said,
You heard it from the man himself.
Yeah, just had to throw that out there.
I didn't say it. Take Will as a reference, future employers. I didn't say it myself. He said that about me. Okay.
Well, it's just okay. So let's go ahead and talk about my first experience being on a plane.
So what? Tell me what was it like, Will?
So, for context, I film for the football team at my college, and we went on an away game, and because there's a limited amount of seats that the filmers have, they only take the most experienced players. Now, since not the most experienced filmers. Now, see, last year I was a freshman, so I was the least experienced, so I didn't get to go on any of the away games. But this year, I am no longer a freshman, so I have, in one way or another, experience. So I was allowed to go on an away trip. So that's kind of, and me explaining that's going to be an important layer for something else I want to talk about. So we got on this plane, and I chose the window seat, which I soon discovered was a big mistake because while the view looking outside,
I do want to stop you right there. I personally am as someone who has flown on a plane twice in total in my life. Well, okay, flown on a commercial plane, that is. I've actually flown a plane many more times than that.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, are you talking about flying or being a passenger?
Yeah, being a passenger on a commercial airliner that I've done twice. But in my experience, the window seats are honestly the best seats, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, but I think that the window seats are the best seats.
Let me explain my issue with the window seats. First of all, the window itself is very low. So if I wanted to look outside of it, and this is just a me problem because I'm tall, but if I wanted to look out the window, I would have to turn my head to like actually look out. And after a while of doing that, that started to make me feel nauseous, and that's when the motion sickness got to me. Because I usually don't get motion sickness, but when I was on the end of the plane and I was doing this to look outside, that's when I started to feel nauseous. And it was the last 15 minutes of the plane, and all I can remember is concentrating on not throwing up because
they do have the bags for a reason.
Well, yeah, but I didn't want to have to throw up at all because throwing up sucks.
That's true. As someone who has thrown up before, I can confirm.
That's all. But yeah.
Hey, I don't know. There might be some crazy people out there who would be like, "Oh, I've never thrown up in my life."
And to that, I would say, be prepared to be crucified on a cross, you perfect specimen. That's all I gotta say to that. Also, I would like to say your screen is glitching up on my end. I don't know what it's like. Is my feed still good?
Oh yeah, your feed's fine. Recording looks fine. So, yeah.
Okay, but on my screen it looks like your feed is messing up. So I just wanted to make sure.
Oh yeah, no, I will. I'll probably let you know if something happens with the actual video that I'm recording.
Okay, it's stopped now. So I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, but that wasn't even the worst part of it. The worst part of it was I was squished in between the wall of the plane and two other people. And not only am I a tall dude, but I'm also a big dude.
He
so
is.
having to
As
squeeze
someone,
in.
like, I just want to make it clear for anyone who doesn't know, because it's not really a thing anymore. But Will and I are obviously not in the same region of the world right now. We obviously go to different colleges. We live in different areas, but that didn't used to be the case.
We're still in the same country. I don't know why you're saying different regions of the world, as if you're in South Africa and I'm in Korea.
But we used to live like within, you know, a relatively normal driving distance of each other because we used to go to the same church. That was how we met.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to point out that the point being, like, you know, I've seen Will. I can confirm he is a little bit on the larger side.
Yeah. So in other words,
I love it when you call me Big Papa.
What? What?
that's a reference to a 90s rap song.
I will never.
Yeah.
I will never, ever be calling you that. I just want you to know.
That's a song reference. Don't worry. I'm not telling you actually, but yeah, basically to put blunt. I can't speak right now. To put it bluntly,
But
I'm
you're
big.
trying to run a
I'm big dude.
podcast.
I'm sorry. If I'm going to stutter, I'm going to stutter.
He do be stuttering.
And we got an ad. We got an ad.
Hey, his white screen has an ad.
Shoes. Laundry detergent.
He said
Moonlight.
He said at the beginning of the podcast before he started, he was like, I wonder what kind of ads are going to come up on this white screen video.
That's going to be our new segment next to the Kanye segment.
The white screen ad segment.
What new ads are we going to get on this white screen? Let me double check once again. Yeah, 30 minutes in on the dot. So in 30 minutes,
it's your half hourly. Enjoy the next 30 minutes of uninterrupted watching.
Yeah. That's our new segment right there. But yeah. I got two other things I want to ask you personally about, or actually it's one personal question for you.
And one business related question.
And then I wanted to talk about, but yeah. What I was trying to say before we had a million different things come up, to put it simply, my rear was sore, very sore.
So wait. Okay, so I know different airlines and like different airplanes have different styles of seating. The only airline I've ever flown on was Southwest, and Southwest only flies one kind of airplane. So they're pretty much all the same. So I haven't really experienced like variety in that department. But I know there are differences in the seating quality on different airlines. So like, what was the seating quality on yours like?
The seating quality, it was just like, I don't even think it was the seat necessarily. It was just the fact that I was on there for an hour. I was squeezed in. And on top of that, we were at the very back of the plane. So we had literally no option to like lean back our seat. Not that we could anyways, because there was a packed plane full of the football players, the coaches, trainers, all that. So it's not like we could to begin with, but that option was just not there at all.
So wait, was it like an airline that you flew on, or was it a plane that was owned by your university?
It was a plane that had everyone on the football team, everyone on the trainers. No one else was on it. So was it done through an airline? Like, did they just book an airline flight? We didn't go through an airport. We literally, in our charter buses, we drove right in front of the airplane and then boarded the airplane right there.
So yeah, it was a charter flight. Okay, so
basically.
So that.
Sorry if I didn't make that clear earlier.
No, it's fine. I just was wondering because that does kind of change. Because like commercial airliners, they're designed to be like, you know, economy, very efficient. They're designed to fit as many people on the plane as possible. Since every person's paying for their ticket, so the more people they fly at once, the more money they make off of a flight. But private aircraft aren't necessarily the same, and I don't know what kind of aircraft you were flying on, and I doubt you would be able to tell me, but generally...
Picture of the plane that I posted in the Discord server, if you want to look at that. By the way, we have a Discord server, so if you want to join and look at the plane that I flew on, that's advertising 101 for you. Hit them with a hook. If they want to see what plane I rode on, they can go to our Discord.
I am actually going to go look at that because I'm curious now. Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe you'll know which type of plane it was by looking at it. Just go to general and you'll see it.
It's going to cut the video out for a second. Don't worry about it. Oh. Yeah. That's interesting, actually, because that happens to be a commercial airliner. That's not a business type plane like I was thinking of.
Well, we do have a bunch of people that we had to fly in.
I know.
Like in the hundreds, so.
I can't tell. I don't know if that's an airline or not. It might be, but it's not one that I recognize if it is. Anyway, the type of plane that is either a 737 or an A320. One of the two.
Those numbers mean absolutely nothing to me. I don't know what they are.
If there's any people who know about airplanes in the chat, or watching the podcast episode rather,
that's gonna be the title of this podcast episode. Steven talks to his imaginary chat.
We just need to start streaming at this point.
Who's going to watch? And who's going to be in the chat to respond?
Nobody. But
you were going on about how no one was watching.
At least there will be a chat to refer to.
But what point is there being in a chat if no one's watching the stream? That's what I'm asking.
Because I can say chat and not be wrong.
But who's going to respond?
Nobody. But I can still talk to the empty chat.
Honestly, this bickering is good for views. We gotta remember that.
Yeah, we need to remember we can make we can make shorts content out of this, and shorts get like 2,000 views in 20 minutes. Yes. So that reminds me. We found the way we found out about how shorts were so effective because Will and I literally just on a whim. Decided to make a short when we were downstairs for church one time, and then we went to the actual church, and half an hour later he pulls up the short and it had 2,000 views on it.
Yeah. And it's literally about adding that hashtag shorts.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay, let's get back to topic. I got other topics I want to talk about. We're gonna be here for a while, folks. So I hope you're strapped in for a long episode because this is what. Yeah. This is after the last episode.
This is the new us. There's no more short episodes. We're making 1 hour our minimum, not our maximum.
I think I remember episode 2 was an hour and a half, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that was back when this was still fresh and we were still super hyped up about it.
Yeah.
Back before Will said, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right? No. Okay. We're going to be here all night. So let me get back to the topic real quick, and then we'll get on to other things.
Let me just check real quick.
So,
because I might be able to reserve the room for another hour if we need it.
I don't know if it's going to be that bad, but I don't know. Because right now we got an hour. Again, I can't speak.
Nice.
I've been using my voice a lot today. I've been doing a lot of things, so that's why. Okay, so we got an hour and 8 minutes left.
We can have another hour.
Okay. All right. So here's my question to you, Steven.
Yes. Go ahead.
I remember hearing a statistic long ago that most pilots admit to, and you don't have to say anything that will incriminate you or your chances of flying, but I heard a statistic that said that most pilots admitted to falling asleep while flying airplanes before.
I want you to
What,
know.
what is your
I
what
want
are your
to,
thoughts on that?
I can't really say anything about the statistic because I've never heard of it, and I haven't really known like many other people that fly. But I can say, and I want you to trust me, that I am being completely honest when I say this and not trying to hide anything. I have never fallen asleep while flying an airplane. I've never even thought.
Right. I'm not.
And I can give
I'm not saying that.
and I'm not just
calling
saying
you
that.
out.
I'm not just saying that because I want to like protect my career or anything. I have like a genuine reason for it, and the reason is flying an airplane is a lot of brain power that you have to use. It takes a lot of focus because there's a lot of things to look at and do and think about. And when my brain is like engaged like that and doing a lot of things at once like that, it's very difficult for me to like fall asleep, even if I am tired. It's like even if I have gotten up early, even here at Auburn, I have my flights are at 6 o'clock in the morning, so I have to get up pretty early to get there. But even then, like, you know, when you get up early, you're always kind of tired. It doesn't matter how much sleep you get. If you're like me and you're not a morning person, it does not matter how much sleep you got the previous night. You will be tired waking up that early.
Yeah.
But even when I'm tired like that, I just cannot fall asleep when I am focused on something as involved as flying an airplane, because just like the amount of engagement that it takes just prevents you from being able to have enough free time to like doze off and stuff like that. So, I mean, I can understand people falling asleep while driving because driving is very monotone, like especially if you've got a car with cruise control and you're just going down in a straight line, holding a steering wheel. You don't have to think about your speed. The only thing you're doing is trying to keep it in between the lines. That's something that's very monotone and very simple and doesn't require a lot of brain power. And if you're really tired, you could fall asleep while doing that. Flying a plane is completely different. It is not at all like driving a car because there are always like 50 different things that you have to be looking at, even in the most relaxed stages of flight.
Love that answer. I absolutely love that answer. Okay, so yeah, I was just curious what your thoughts are on that. And from that statistic I heard, I don't think I've seen anything that confirms it, but it's just something I've heard.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if some people like admit to that, because maybe some people are different than me and it doesn't take as much of their brain power to fly an airplane. I'm just saying I couldn't do it even if I wanted to, and I don't see how other people could do it. In my opinion, if you're falling asleep, well, really, I could say this about driving too, but if you're falling asleep while doing something like flying a plane, you're obviously doing something wrong. You're obviously like not doing something that you're supposed to be doing. Yeah, I know everybody's different, but that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, and that's how a lot of people are too when it comes to jobs in general. There's just some people who are in a line of work that they really shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
I know that you working at Publix for a while, I know for a fact you've come across people who shouldn't even be working there from a pure
definitely.
personality
Definitely.
level, like what kind of people they are.
So there's two different kinds of people, two different categories of people that I like. When I look at someone and I say they shouldn't be working at this job, there's two different categories of people. There's people who have some kind of like disability that hinders them from being able to do their job well. I understand that because that's not their fault. They don't have any control over that. It does still hinder them from doing their job, but it's not something that's under their control. Then you have the people who just don't care and don't want to do their job. And you can tell, like, they don't have anything that is holding them back. They actively choose not to do a good job.
Yeah. And those second type of people, they are the worst to deal with.
Yes. And I definitely, some of my least favorite coworkers when I worked at Publix were not the people who were hard to communicate with because they had disabilities or things like that. My least favorite people to work with at Publix were always the people who didn't care about their job.
They were just there to make money and then they're surprised when they realize they have to do work.
Exactly, yeah. There was a guy who was exactly like that. I'm not going to name drop him because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. He might still work there, I don't know. But there was a guy that literally, he complained about everything. Anytime he was asked to do something, he always had something to complain about. And he was always the guy who wanted to go home early, and when they told him that he had to stay because the person who was taking over for him wasn't here yet, he always complained about that. He complained about everything.
Yeah. There's just people like that who are just super negative. They're in a rough spot, but at the same time, they don't want to improve. They just want to stay in that rough spot so that they can have something that they can complain about.
Yeah.
So that they feel validated.
I think the worst part about it too was that guy had actually graduated from college, and this was working at Publix was his first job out of college. I think that's the saddest part about it.
I mean, you gotta make money to pay for that debt somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, but generally the idea of going to college is that you get a degree to go and get an actual job that isn't working at a grocery store.
Yeah.
Ideally. I know that doesn't always happen, and it depends on what industry you're going into. Demand is different, the market's different. For me, going into the aviation industry as a pilot, that's a market that has a very high demand right now. So it's very easy to get a job in the aviation industry right now. Some industries are very saturated and don't have a lot of job demands. I can't really think of one off the top of my head, but they are out there.
And there's some jobs that are super neglected, and they're some of the most important jobs ever. I'm gonna go on a quick tangent real quick. Teachers.
Yeah. Teachers.
When it comes to schools, elementary, middle, high,
I think the reason
college.
why teachers are such a neglected job class is because they don't really get paid enough. And that's this is just my opinion on the matter. I'm not going to try and get political here or anything, but
yeah.
It's a pretty common, it's a pretty widely known fact that teachers don't get paid very much. And honestly, in my opinion, they don't get paid anywhere near what they deserve for the kind of work that they're doing. Because anybody who's been to elementary school or middle school or high school, basically just public school in general, knows what teachers have to put up with. And
right.
They are not getting paid anywhere near what they deserve for having to deal with that. In my opinion, at least.
And the thing is, with a lot of teachers, especially nowadays, their effort and their commitment reflects how much they're getting paid. So if they get paid less, they're gonna care less.
Exactly. So
hence why a lot of teachers will give you more and more opportunities to raise your grade, even if it's not in a way that actually helps you learn the material. It's just more stuff to make it easier on them.
Well, yeah. Well, because all teachers are doing is teaching what they're told to teach. I'm sure most teachers disagree with the school's curriculum just as much as the students do, but they have to teach it because the school is basically their employer, and that's what the school told them they have to do. Yes. There have been some teachers that are brave enough to actually go against it and be like, no, I'm not going to teach what the school tells me to teach you because it's stupid. I'm going to teach you how I think you should be taught. And those, in my opinion,
let me rephrase what you just said. They're not going to teach the material in the way the school wants them to teach it. They're going to find new, innovative ways to get the idea across to students and have them actually learn.
They're going to teach it in a way that's actually meaningful and actually helps you learn the material rather than just feeding it to you like the school wants them to. And those are probably some of the best teachers out there, the ones that do that. And they are the most deserving of higher pay than what they get.
You know what? This talk of teachers actually transitions really well into our next topic right here. So overall plane flight, I'm rating it 4 out of 10. IGN.
4 out of 10 IGN.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't really an airline, so it's not like we can tell an airline that they need to do better. So I guess we need to tell Jacksonville State University that they need to do better.
Well, seeing
flying
how
there.
earlier you implied that you were the one that were flying my plane, I think it's something that you need to do better,
Okay,
Mister.
You know what? That's fair. That one's my bad. That's on me. I will make sure that your experience is better next time.
Thank you. All right, so for our next topic, this is something really interesting that I learned. There's a university in Japan called Mie University. I hope I'm saying that right.
What?
And
Is it spelled
basically-
with? Is it spelled with English characters or is it Japanese characters?
English way of spelling is Mie. Mie. I hope that's the correct pronunciation.
honestly-
maybe someone in the chat can correct me on that.
If you're at this point, the chat is just the comments section. Anyway, if you are saying it wrong, I would not be able to correct you because I don't know Japanese. So,
But yeah, basically they have introduced a few new courses this year, and one of them is ninja classes.
I mean, it's Japan. What do you expect?
They're teaching classes on how to be a ninja.
Okay, to be fair, ninjas, like, as you think about them from, like, you know, ancient Japanese culture and stuff like that, like, the form of martial arts that they used is an actual form of martial arts, and I can see it, like, being genuinely taught in a serious capacity in countries like Japan that have that as a large part of their culture.
I get that, and I feel like it might also just be like a history class based on
Yeah, maybe.
ninjas, but I just find it so funny that there's classes on how to be a ninja. Like, and the other thing that was making me laugh when thinking about this was, there's videos in YouTube Shorts. Yeah, I'm going to talk about this.
Yeah.
But, like occasionally I'll come across videos of people doing some crazy stunts and doing some cool things with like anime type weapons, like a giant sword or
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
where, like,
nunchuck or stuff like that.
I've seen that. Like, they'll pull out the giant, like if you've ever played Super Smash Bros, you know Cloud, the Final Fantasy character, he has the giant sword.
The Final Fantasy
They'll
sword.
pull out something that looks like that.
Yeah. And they like offer like courses on how to train with that weapon. And I just find it so funny how and I've seen comments on this before, like if the zombie apocalypse were to come, these people would have like the coolest like offense against the zombies.
All right, class. Today we're gonna learn how the 20 different ways to kill an undead with a comically large sword.
Yeah.
Instead of doing
And
it,
that was just making me.
instead of doing it any other way with, you know, like a gun or something, we're gonna teach you how to use a sword that isn't even efficiently sized. You know, this thing probably weighs way more than it needs to for the sake of looking cool, but we're gonna teach you how to use it anyway because it looks cool.
If the show The Walking Dead really wanted to be realistic, they would have someone who was exactly like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Come in with a comically large sword, like some unorthodox weapon that they've been spending years upon years on training and
It's like
honing their skills.
Instead of training how to use like a normal sword or like, you know, shoot a bow and arrow or shoot a gun. I mean, you don't really need training to shoot a gun, but you know, training for like archery or like, you know, regular sword fighting. No, they're gonna take the biggest sword that they could possibly find and learn how to swing it around. I mean, the best
Yes.
application I can think of for that is that, you know, it's a good workout.
Yeah. But even then, it's just like there's also technique to it that you're learning. And I just find it so funny. And like, kudos to all those people, by the way. We're not trying to make fun of y'all. If any of y'all are by any chance watching this,
I'm not making
y'all
fun of you
are
because
amazing people, more amazing than we will ever be. Like that's like
Yeah.
actually like super.
I mean,
super
like,
impressive.
could I pick
But
up
we're
could I pick up a giant sword and swing it around? Yeah, I could. Could I wield it effectively as a weapon? Probably not.
Would you cut your own arm off if you did that? Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Like you would hold it up and then be like, "Oh, I lost grip." Yeah.
I knew I shouldn't have
Something
tried
like
to
that would probably
prove
happen
myself.
if I tried holding it up.
Yeah.
But yeah. And one more thing I will say about this topic is when I saw it, I saw the funniest comment about the ninja classes. About it's like a scenario where the teacher's like, "Hey, I didn't see you in class," and the student was like, "Thank you."
Yeah, I know. I saw that. It was also in a YouTube short. Yeah, it was like ninja classes be like, "Teacher, I didn't see you in class." Ninja, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just something I found fascinating, and I would love to look more into what the class actually is. Like, is it like actual techniques, or are they just looking at the history
Next
of
podcast.
ninjas?
Next podcast episode, Will's gonna come in carrying a giant sword. He's gonna be like, "So, yeah, guess what? Guess what class I enrolled in?"
I would have to move out of this dorm, move into that university, and then
And he'd have to move to another country, learn another language, because a lot of people in
Learn
Japan
another
probably
language.
don't speak English. I mean, a lot of them probably do.
Right.
I know that like people from the United States are like, or the United States is the least multilingual country. Like most Americans only know English, but people from other countries tend to know multiple languages more often than Americans do. I know there are plenty of Americans that know multiple languages. I'm not saying that there's not. I'm just saying the rate of people that know multiple languages is higher in other countries than it is in America.
right. But yeah, ninja classes. So, as far as the next, I got a question. Oh yeah, by the way, you were speaking about like what I'm going to be doing next episode. Since the last episode, I've asked other people about the Gatorade and Powerade question.
Oh, he actually went and did the poll. I didn't ask anybody.
I didn't do a poll, or I didn't do a test, though I really wanted to, and I will maybe one day. But I've talked with some people, and there are a lot of people who do tell me that they can taste the difference. But then I ask them, if I were to pour one type of drink into both glasses and feed them to you, and then tell you that both were Gatorade and Powerade, they would say, okay, yeah, that would throw me off.
No, I still maintain with confidence that I would be able to tell the difference between the two. We're gonna test this theory next time. Both of us
It's not just about. No. Here's the thing. It's not just about telling a difference either. It's about being able to identify which one was which.
That's why I meant. Like, I can still say with confidence that I would be able to identify properly which one is which. And we are gonna test that theory probably at some point next time that both of us are back in our hometown.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at my calendar to see, or like, when I was gonna be there, or like,
it is
visiting home.
we're gonna make
both of us are gonna be visiting home.
we're gonna make we're gonna make a YouTube short out of it. It's a question that needs to be answered.
Yes. YouTube short of it. I'm gonna have you taste test, see which one's Gatorade, which one's Powerade.
Steven taste test Gatorade and Powerade. Can he back up his word?
That sounds like the intro to a Good Mythical Morning episode. Just like, I just poured Gatorade and Powerade into 2 glasses, and I'm forcing Steven to try to pick out which one's which. Let's talk about that.
I offered to do this. What do you mean forcing?
It's all for the content. It's the narrative that we're pushing. It's the narrative that I'm pushing that I am someone who forces people into things.
Like
don't
I
see
was,
any
like I
negative
was forced
consequences coming
into,
from that.
like I was forced into being a content slave for this podcast. I am not. I have no free will here, guys. If you can hear this, please help. This is a cry for help.
Okay, now time for our next topic. Steven's just being his silly usual self. You don't need to listen to anything he's saying. Okay.
Right. No, but seriously, please get me out of here.
Okay, let's go. Okay, all right. So for our next topic, Steven,
Yeah.
would you say that you remember your dreams? Like,
That
on average, how many of your dreams
depends.
do you remember?
How many? I don't know. I will say that it's kind of hit or miss whether I remember them or whether I don't. Like some nights I'll have a really crazy dream and I'll like wake up and I'll be able to remember it for at least a few minutes. And then other nights I'll wake up and I just don't even remember having a dream at all, which I know I probably did. I just don't remember it. I will say that
Okay.
I think like in my memory, I think that I remember dreams more often than I don't. But I don't have like a metric to back that up. So
Do you have like those certain type of dreams that, like years after having them, you still remember at least vaguely what they were
oh
about?
yeah, no, I definitely have a few of those in my catalog.
Yeah. And this is where we get to a philosophical question. So basically, can you remember a dream where in the dream you were on your phone, like doing something on your phone,
You know
whether it
what?
be watching YouTube or
You know what?
something?
This is gonna sound crazy, but I'm gonna be completely honest with you right now. I genuinely do not remember a single dream I've ever had where I was on my phone in the dream. Like, I'm not saying
Isn't
that I
that
haven't had
interesting?
them, but it's not something I remember. And that is actually interesting that you bring that up because I never even thought about
Yeah,
that until
because
now.
I'm the same way.
At least
I'm the same way.
as far as I can remember, as far as the dreams that I can remember like now, none of them have involved me using my phone in any way.
And I bring this up to like open up a conversation about how, despite the fact that we use our phones constantly, and a lot of people like to say that our lives are nothing but us on our phones, I find it interesting how there's a lot of people who will say they don't remember a dream where they were on their phone ever, which I find to be very interesting for several reasons. Because, one, if you did have a dream where you were on your phone, what would you even do? Like, how
That's actually a great
addicted
question.
to your phone? How addicted to your phone would you have to be in order to start dreaming about you just being on your phone?
I don't know. That's another survey that we need to do. We need to go around and ask people this. Can you remember a dream that you have had where in the dream you were on your phone?
Yeah. Like scrolling through social media or watching TikTok or YouTube or wherever.
Just doing anything at all, really.
Yeah. Because it's popular to say now that Gen Z, like
Now,
people in Gen Z,
what I
their
will
entire
say-
lives revolve all around their phone and they think of nothing else but what's on their phone.
Now, what I will say is, while using your phone, like the actual use of the phone device in a dream, is not something that many people can remember. It is common for things that you see on your phone to manifest themselves in a dream, but like as actual content, not confined within a phone or like within a screen. I think what it has to do with, like, my opinion on that, like, keep in mind this is an answer that I'm coming up with on the spot. I did not think about this before now at all, but my theory is that our phones are designed to be like, a window in order to see things that like we can't see in real life, or to see things, just to see things that we can't see in real life. we never think about, using our phones just to use them, because obviously anytime that we're using them for a purpose, either like we're communicating or we're entertaining ourselves. There's always going to be something on the phone that we're looking at. We're not really concerned with the device itself. And I think that how that translates to the dream world is your dreams are cutting the link of the phone between you and whatever like content you were consuming. And so instead of thinking about using your phone to access content, your brain is just using the content and putting it directly into your dream and cutting out the middle link that is the phone, because we don't really think about the device itself. We think about what we're seeing on the device.
Here's the interesting thing about that, though. The phone, you're 100% right, but the thing about the phone is it's a physical object that you're looking at. And,
That's true.
And that you're holding. So by that logic, and I guess it's the same way of thinking. It kind of depends on how you look at using your phone. Do you look at it as being as essential as using your legs to walk, or would you consider it to be like a... I'm just saying, I'm saying that to say, like, obviously you wouldn't have a dream where you're concerned about your balance at all, unless you're having a really abstract dream.
Which they do exist.
But generally speaking, your dreams aren't really focused on your ability to walk at all. If you're a capable human who can, have functioning legs, that's not something you typically dream about, right?
That does beg the question: how do dreams work for someone who can't walk? Like, are they different? Do people who can't walk dream about walking, or are they also not able to walk in their dreams?
I assume. Well, in fiction, in telling like fictional stories, it's common to have like moments where someone has a disability and they have a dream or like a fantasy about them not having that disability. Like someone in a wheelchair will have a fantasy or a dream about them not being in a wheelchair, or, and this is going to be funny for me to say to you, but a short person fantasizing about them being a tall person. Yeah, it happens all the time. It's kind of like that. But I'm saying, like, and it probably happens in real life too. Again, it's kind of like a person-by-person basis. You just have to ask around.
To be fair, I have never gone up to someone who's disabled and asked them if they dream about not being disabled, so...
Just go up to someone in a wheelchair and be like, hey, do you dream about your wheelchair? Or do you dream about you walking? I need to know now.
I need to know now. No, I'm not talking about your aspirations as an individual. I'm talking about the dreams that you have while you sleep.
Go up to a short person, and then I'm just gonna go up to a short person. I'm gonna be like, hey, so have you ever dreamt about being tall? Would you like to be tall? And like not short, having to look up to me.
You know what this just reminded me of? I have a little subtopic that I can bring up. This is not really related to the whole dreams.
Also, one more thing I do want to bring up. I have a new chair. I built it myself, and I'm very proud of it.
Nice.
It's a very comfortable chair.
Anyway,
but yeah, go ahead.
This is a topic that it's not really related to the dreams conversation anyway, but it reminded me of another type of YouTube short, like you talking about short people. It reminded me of another type of YouTube short that I've seen where it's like a very small, like usually an actual dwarf who is like, actually has a genetic being shorter than average thing. And they make a short about like, what would you do if I showed up at your door? And then somebody else will remix that short, and it's just them like kicking over a couple of toys, like as a meme on how small the person is. I don't know if you've seen those or not.
That sounds like the type of content I would come across, because it's definitely, yeah. And there's also one other topic that I want to talk about that's going to transition over to the last topic that I have written down. There's a new Disney movie that's going to be coming out soon, and it's a remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Oh,
And you all know what's funny?
what?
Disney, and their attempt to be all-inclusive,
Oh no. What
only
did they do?
hired about one. They only hired about 1 to 2 actual dwarfs for the Seven Dwarfs.
Huh.
So
so they
there's
did-
tons of dwarf actors out there. Before you say anything, I will say there are tons of dwarf actors out there who are looking for work. But instead, they decided to go with 5 people who are normal sized and 2 who are actually dwarfs, or is 1 dwarf. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Last time I checked, but either way, ain't that something?
That is definitely something. I don't really pay
And I
that
would
much
also like to
attention
point out-
to Disney anymore, because of some the circumstances that I'm not going to talk about
Let's-
because it's
hold
very.
on, one more thing I'm going to bring up. And then I'm going to transition over to another topic.
Okay.
The main character, Snow White, they're transforming the simple fairy tale of like her being saved by a princess. Apparently, you can't have men be heroes anymore. So you're going to have this new Snow White become a political leader, being the leader that she knew she always could be. And it's going to be about girl boss.
You know what I find funny? Actually, no. You know what? I'm not going to talk about that because it's kind of controversial and kind of political, and I kind of want to not talk about that. So I'm not going to talk about that. Just forget that I said anything.
Okay. And this goes into topic. Currently in Hollywood, there is a strike going on
I
between
did hear about
the big
that.
studios and the writers who write these movies, and also actors have also gone on strike.
I actually watched very recently a film theory. You know, Matt Pat, the guy who makes all the theory channels, and how he was saying like that the reason that Disney is reusing Disney's content has been kind of lacking recently, and the reason that they're doing so many remakes of old movies is because all their writers are on strike and they don't have any people to write new ideas for them. And that's like the case with a bunch of other studios as well.
Well, one thing you gotta keep in mind is all these movies coming out have already been written, like the scripts for them have already been written before the strike. We're not gonna see the true effects of the strike until next year, once all the finished products are no longer being released. So that's one thing you gotta keep in mind. Disney had already for years now, they've already been on this downhill of running out of original ideas. So you gotta keep that in mind. However, that's not the most interesting thing about the strike this time around. The most interesting thing is the rise and the improvement of AI technology.
That's
fact
the
that-
big thing, because the writers are complaining that AI are taking their jobs.
Basically what's happening is all these studios, what they want to do is they want to have AI start writing their scripts. I'm assuming by this point you know what ChatGPT is.
I mean, if you don't know what ChatGPT is, like, and I'm saying this as one of the most uncultured people on the planet, if you don't know what ChatGPT is and have never heard of ChatGPT in any capacity ever, you obviously have, one, not touched the internet in at least the last 5 years, two, lived under a rock that is at least 3 times the size of the observable universe, and 3, probably were born tomorrow.
Okay. Steven's very mean comment to those internet uncultured people outside.
No, I say that as an uncultured person. I'm an uncultured person, okay? I'm very uncultured. You gotta remember, I'm the person who freaked Will out because I haven't watched Scooby-Doo. Still haven't watched it, by the way.
That's true. That's true.
Even I know what ChatGPT is, so take that as you will.
So yeah, with this writer strike and actor strike, it really puts into perspective how a lot of these new shows and new movies that are coming out, with exception because that one came out this year and that one's incredible.
What, Spider-Man?
But for the vast majority of TV shows and movies that have been coming out, they had been a lot of people who are not happy with the quality of the writing and the acting of all of these shows and movies. And something that criticism was always targeted towards the writers and the actors. And I'm not saying they're not responsible for getting quality work, but the strike puts into perspective, again, what we were talking about earlier with the teachers. The type of money that you're paying them is going to reflect on how much effort they put in to what they're doing.
Right.
And that's the exact same thing that's going on with writers and actors too, but mostly having to do with writers this time around. Because their pay was criminally low, like, it was like criminal how low they were being paid. It makes sense why they were not given the right resources and the right time to flesh out these shows and movies. And on top of that, like you were saying, Disney particularly has made a whole bunch of movies, and also on Disney Plus, a whole bunch of like Marvel shows, Disney shows, all that.
They really
to the point
are
of overexhaustion for the writers and for everyone involved.
And that was the one of the main points that MatPat was making in the film theory video that I watched, was basically like Disney, like they launched Disney Plus, and because it's a subscription platform, they have to keep it filled with content to keep people coming back and paying for the subscription so they can make money off of it. And so they're taking these ideas that were originally supposed to be movies and they're turning them then to series to put on Disney Plus so they can keep like pushing out content for that platform so people keep staying subscribed to it and giving Disney money. And in the process of doing that, they're flooding the market and basically just overpopulating the platform with a lot of not very original stuff.
And I saw a video too that pointed out something, made a really good point about how the whole reason why traditional TV is something not so relevant anymore is because people didn't want to deal with the commercials and not having control over what you watch. So streaming services were made to combat those limitations and to offer content much more like freely, like a subscription service for all of this content that you could watch at your own discretion. But now, streaming services, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you talk in a little bit, but I'm gonna finish this. Streaming services have gone so big and they've gone so greedy that they have not only inflated their price, but they have also started putting ads in their content to make as much money as possible. And then sooner or later, the streaming services started replicating TV. And the fact that a bunch of streaming services host a variety of things. If you're an avid TV or movie watcher and you want to watch something, now you gotta be subscribed to a whole bunch of different services in order to catch it all. So there's gonna be one thing. So even if you're subscribed to something and you want to watch only one thing that they have, you have to stay subscribed unless you want to start pirating, which a lot of people are doing. Yeah. And that's something that streaming services, they don't want you to do that, but with how licenses and everything works. But here's the thing, with how they've been doing things in an attempt to make as much money as possible, they're giving a lot of people no choice but to do that. And for the record, I'm not out here trying to tell people to pirate because it is technically against the law.
No,
but
no,
I
it's
am
not.
saying,
It's not technically against the law. It is literally against the law. It is illegal under pretty much every
Yes.
copyright law out there to pirate copyrighted content.
it's kind of like jaywalking. It's illegal, but a lot of people do it anyways.
Yeah,
but
pretty
again,
much.
not trying to endorse, not trying to publicly endorse this, but I'm just saying.
Disclaimer time. The To Whom It May Concern podcast and the members of the To Whom It May Concern podcast do not in any way encourage or condone the act of piracy.
Yes. But with that said, and I am not talking from someone who pirates, but I am telling you right now, it is so hard to resist that temptation when there's so many streaming services and the market in general just being super inflated while things keep getting tinier and tinier. Like the product and the meat of what you're paying for keeps shrinking.
It's like the prices are going up, but you're paying for less because the content is getting less and less like quality, and it's also there's being less of it.
Yes.
And see, this is where I come in because being someone who doesn't really care that much about media, show like subscription. I was gonna call them TV shows, but they're not really TV shows. The subscription shows and also movies. Like someone who doesn't really pay attention to what goes on in that industry or really care about it that much, I don't really have that problem. But I can see how it can be an issue with people who are into watching movies or watching shows and stuff like that, who enjoy that form of entertainment.
Yes. And it just kind of goes to show how much the film industry as a whole is just really struggling right now, because let me tell you, so many things are being delayed. No one knows what's happening. And it's just where do we go from here to get work? If there's no scripts being made and no one's here to act, what else can we do other than go to Publix and complain about how we have to do work?
Yeah.
Because that's genuinely how a lot of these people who work in the film industry work. They'll get a gig, and then after that gig, they have to go back to a part-time job until they're able to get another gig that'll give them a paycheck. I worked with someone who worked in audio for a department film, and he told me that's exactly how he gets by. He just kind of does part-time job until he gets a gig that'll pay him a good amount of money to cover him for a few months.
For a few months. And then he has to get done with it and go back to working a part-time job.
Exactly. So, and again, person by person, I'm just saying, I'm not saying this is how everyone operates, but I'm just saying that's a personal story that I've been told from someone who who's been working in this industry for a while.
And by a
that's
while,
what
he
I've
means
been told.
2 years.
No, he's 40 or something.
Oh wait, I thought you were talking about you for some reason. You were talking about
No, I'm talking about someone I worked with, who was hired to be an audio person for a department film that I was working on.
Okay.
He's 4 years old.
I got some stuff mixed up there. There seems to have been a bit of a misunderstanding.
That reminds me of a YouTube short I saw where it was just
I know exactly.
If any of you girls are a 5 or 6, hit me up. And then there seems to be a misunderstanding. It's God.
Police cars in the background. Yeah.
But yeah. So last thing I want to ask you is, if you were if you were the CEO of a big studio and you saw that all your writers have gone on strike, they're not producing anything for you that will make you money, and all they want is higher pay, and you make all the money in the world, you're close to having billions, if not making billions. How hard would it be for someone like you to just go ahead and give them the higher price that they want?
Well, see,
the higher pay that they want.
Here's the thing. To answer the question clearly and directly, it's not hard. Literally, all these companies have to do is just pay their employees more. These companies make like billions of dollars per year from the content that they are making. It does not cost them as much to produce. In most cases, if it's a good production, then it's going to make more money than it costs to produce. At least that's the idea behind producing content. You're supposed to make more money from it than it costs you to produce, because that's how you be profitable.
It's called ROI investment.
Yeah.
Gotta keep it positive.
Yeah.
That's just.
But
as
long as you're making good content that can net you more money than you spent on it and make you a profit, then you have all this money. And these film companies are making huge amounts of profit. Whenever a movie does well, it makes a ton of profit, and these companies get a lot of money out of it. It is not that hard for them to raise the pay of their employees by even a few dollars, or I don't know if they get paid hourly or salaried. If it's salary, they might raise it by a couple $1,000s, but a couple $1,000 in a year is still not really that much. And I mean, you may say, oh, well, they have a few thousand employees that they have to worry about. My guy, a few thousand is nothing. If you look at a company like Publix is a retail company, grocery store chain. They exist only in the southeastern part of the United States. They're not even a nationwide company. This company employs several hundreds of thousands of people across all of its stores, including in corporate positions, management positions, store level positions. There's a lot of people that they are paying. Publix is a completely debt-free company. They do not have any debt. They don't have, there's people staring at me. They don't have any debt.
no pressure.
They don't owe money. They don't owe money to anybody, right? So that being said, this was one of the main complaints that I had with Publix as well, was that I didn't think that they paid their employees enough. Because if you went to literally anywhere else, a restaurant, in the food service business, or even Walmart or something like that, most places are going to pay you more money. The point being, Publix could afford to pay their employees more because they are making so much money, and raising everybody's pay by a couple of dollars is not going to hurt them, especially since they are a completely positive profit. They don't owe any money. They're not in a hole. So
and if you're finished talking, I want.
Oh no, I'm not finished talking. I'm still on a rant. The point being, if Publix, a retail company who makes their money off of selling groceries to people, can be that successful and grow that much and have that much room, then surely a film company who makes billions of dollars in a year off of every production that they make, assuming that it's a profitable production, they are the same way, and they can afford to pay their people more. And my other point was, I was talking about how many employees Publix has as a retail store chain. A film production studio is going to have a lot less employees than that. Obviously, they're going to have writers, they're going to have actors, they're going to have directors, they're going to have, management people and other people like that. But it's still going to be a lot less, because Publix, as a retail company, has all of that. Corporate positions, management positions, and then they also have to pay hundreds of thousands of store-level employees that work part-time jobs and stuff, like me. My point being that film companies, the number of employees that film companies have is not the issue here. They make enough money to pay their employees more. The problem is that they are greedy corporate overlords that don't care about their employees and just want all the money for themselves. And that the same thing applied with Publix, because Publix is a corporate company, so obviously there's corporate overlords there as well. But that's the problem in the film industry. It's not that they can't pay their employees more, it's that they won't pay their employees more. And that's the issue. So the simple answer to your question was no, it's not hard for them to just give their employees more, the writers and people, more pay. And circling back to your question of if I was the CEO of one of those companies and, you know, all the writers and stuff, people that were on strike wanted was higher pay, and I had a bunch of money in the bank that I was making and could give to them, I'd give it to them, because that's how you keep your company alive and not let it go bankrupt because all of your workers are striking and you're not making any money.
And here's 2 points that I'm going to close out on. Here's the first point, and this is the most important thing. The writers aren't even asking to be given high pay. They just want enough to be able to pay rent. And the reason for that is the other thing. We have to remember, we're talking about Hollywood.
Yeah, we're talking.
Hollywood is in California.
You have to realize.
If you know anything about how California is right now when it comes to their prices and stuff, it is atrocious.
Yeah, you have to realize.
And there's a unprecedented level of homelessness going on in that state.
It's probably very similar to something like New York City, if I had to imagine. Like,
right.
It's a very heavily inflated market, and there's, like, you know, the rates for housing in that area, especially, you know, being the kind of area it is Hollywood, you know, that kind of thing. The housing rates have got to be very, very high.
And the thing that sucks about it too is these writers don't have any choice but to be in California, because that is the main state. Not saying there's not any other state that, or can say that,
but like Hollywood,
you can get work in, but California is that state.
Yeah, Hollywood is the place where not all, but most major film production takes place.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our topic. We kind of went on serious rants.
I went on a huge rant.
Yeah. Sorry if we became a little too serious, you know. We just had to talk about it.
We try to keep this podcast fun.
But me personally, I had a lot of things to say, and Steven also had a lot to say. We were just both really...
Yeah. I'm not even someone who follows this this topic very closely. Like, I don't really keep up with the news of what's going on. I'm not answering based on hard facts. I'm not saying, like, you know, I can prove to you by the numbers that et cetera, et cetera. I'm saying I'm answering entirely philosophically, like, you know, in theory, based on a number of things that you can...
Yeah. Basically, what would be the morally right thing to do?
Yeah. Basically, like, instead of saying, you know, based on these numbers, we can tell that this can happen, I'm saying that theoretically, assuming, as long as we assume these things to be true, that are probably true, these things can happen. So I'm not saying, you know, this film company makes X amount of dollars and et cetera, so they can afford to pay their employees this much more. I'm saying if we assume that film companies are as profitable as they are, which they should be, then they can afford to pay their people more.
Well, with how movies have been going, how a lot of them are tanking.
That's true. But think about it this way.
If they continue on this route, then they're not going to be very profitable.
Think about it this way. Movies are tanking in the box office and not doing well. But why are they not doing well? It's because they are not good quality produced movies, because all the writers are not putting effort in, because they don't want to put effort in because they're not getting paid as much. So if you continue to fail like this and not make money off your movies, you're going to have less money available. You're going to start not being able to pay your people more. Your people are going to continuously keep getting less happy, putting less effort into their work. Your quality is going to go down. You're going to start doing worse and making less money. And it's just a death spiral that's eventually going to sink your company.
Yeah. I think we got a point across pretty well. Basically, these movie studios, they just gotta have to learn, or they're gonna face consequences soon.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is.
It is gonna be interesting to see what happens to the film industry in the next few years.
Right. But yeah, anyways, that's it for our episode. This was a long one, which
Had a lot
hopefully
of-
y'all enjoyed.
Had a lot of
Hopefully
very
you enjoyed.
meaty content. Before we go, I'd once again like to thank HyperX for being the official peripheral provider of the Auburn University Student Center game room. Yeah. HyperX
Yep.
makes some cool stuff, I guess, like this pair of headphones that they made. Yeah, these headphones are great. They're comfortable. I've worn them for an hour and a half now. Haven't had a problem. I can hear Will clearly. So yeah, I don't think anything else in here is actually made by HyperX. But in the main part of the game room, all the mice and keyboards on the actual gaming stations are all HyperX, and they have like cool mechanical keyboards and stuff. And yeah,
I'd say it's pretty swifty, pretty nifty stuff.
it's pretty nifty stuff.
If we ever do get like actual sponsorships, I'm just gonna say, check out this product. It's pretty nifty, if I do say so myself.
I do say so myself. I would say that these Raycon earbuds are pretty nifty.
Pretty nifty how they lasted me only 1 year because they just. To be fair, I didn't take good care of them. I'm not the best at taking care of stuff, but still.
Did you actually have them?
Yeah, I actually had Raycon earbuds.
Well, there goes any chance
I
of
will
us getting
say-
sponsored by Raycon.
I will say they do fit securely in your ear because I've had problems with other earbuds falling out before.
Well, this isn't a sponsorship.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, with that said,
As always, please like and subscribe for another episode of
to whom it may concern.